Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Such a pleasure to be with you. As always, Kyle, great to be with you.
Steve, you as well, sir.
And so, long time ago, I'll give you two stories about what personnel means. People will go overboard at times about coaching ability. And I always try to tell everybody, I said, look, obviously you can call plays that can be mystifying and I don't know anything about. You're like, well, wow, what kind of call was that? Even the coach will sit back later sometimes and go, I'm not so sure I should have called that. Okay. And it's part of the job. Coaches throw their heart and souls into these things. But Nick Saban tells a great story about being a 15-year-old quarterback in high school. Have you seen this story? And he's 15 years old. He's quarterbacking. And they're quarterbacking, I think they're playing for the conference championship, maybe the state championship, something like that. It's in West Virginia. And he's calling the plays because back then the quarterbacks called the plays. And they're driving downfield trying to win the game. And finally they get to a fourth down play. It's like fourth down and 12. And the coach calls a timeout, and he is relieved as all heck. All right? And he used to refer to him as Nicky, right? He says, hey, Nicky. He says, so what are you thinking here? He goes, I'm really glad you called the timeout because, I was kind of hoping you'd call the play. He says, hey, look. He says, the running back was exceptional, I guess, and the wide receiver was exceptional. Okay? And he said, I don't care what play you call, Nicky. He says, but make sure you get it to either the running back or the wide receiver. I can't remember the names of the players. Okay. And he says, no matter what you do, one of those two guys has to be the one to get the ball.
Makes sense.
All right. And so they go out. He runs a play-action fake to the running back, and he throws the game-winning touchdown pass to the wide receiver. And this goes back to a story I've told many times, but it's worth telling again. Wally Richardson's the quarterback at Penn State. They are playing Michigan State in East Lansing. Wild game. The game's right now. The game, both teams are in the 30s, but Penn State there's one play left in the game. That's it, one play. And they're at the 2-yard line. And the coaching staff called a play that they had practiced to Mike Archie. It's going to be a pass play. It's going to go to Mike Archie. And so Joe, who didn't wear a headset, Joe Paterno did not wear a headset, comes over, he says, hey, what play are we calling? And he looks at the guys on the sideline, he says, no. He says, no matter what play you call, it's going to Bobby Ingram. And they argue with him because that's okay. It's all right to argue about it. In other words, what's your conviction as to why you're calling this play? Joe always wanted to know how deep your conviction was about something. And they're saying, look, we practice this, we know this, blah, blah, blah. He says, no. He says, it's going to Bobby Ingram. And finally, one of the coaches said, why? It's because he's the best player on the field. Well, they ran an inside screen to Bobby Ingram, and guess what? He reached it over the goal line and scored. Why? Because Joe wanted to make sure the ball was in the hands of the best player on the field. This is years ago. Charlie Weiss was not very popular when he was at Notre Dame, among other coaches. I'm not talking about the fans. He comes out of the gate with Brady Quinn and Jeff Smarja. Smarja pitched in the major leagues for years with the Cubs, the Giants.
Athletics, Giants.
Yeah. Right. And Smarja was the wide receiver, really good player. Right? And Brady Quinn was the quarterback. Brady Quinn played brilliantly for him. And so Notre Dame is a terrific season. And they go to the Sugar Bowl. I think they lost it. But he'd be talking to other coaches, and after all those years with the Patriots and winning Super Bowls with Brady as the offensive coordinator and so forth, Okay, he was telling other coaches, and one of them was Joe, by the way. Mm-hmm. So some of this I did get from Joe. But basically, he was out there playing chess while others were playing checkers. Those were his words.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after Brady Quinn gets drafted by the Browns, Jeff Smarja moves on to what ends up being a Major League Baseball career, among others, on the Notre Dame team. And he had not recruited anybody on that Notre Dame team. He inherited that team. Things went downhill. And then he was the offensive coordinator at Florida with Will Muschamp. Couldn't get going. Head coach at Kansas couldn't get going. Why? Because he no longer had Tom Brady, that defense, that offensive line, right? All the other parts he had with the Patriots. He no longer had on the collegiate level Brady Quinn, a veteran quarterback.
A veteran, talented, smart quarterback.
Right. Talent. You have to be able to marry talent with coaching. So tonight, for example, Penn State will play Michigan. Dusty May is an excellent coach. No getting around it. I saw his Florida Atlantic team play twice in person down in Orlando a couple of years ago. All right? Really liked the talent he had at that. And Vlad Golden, by the way, had been on that team, among others. He still had, I think he had the entire starting five back from the Final Four team.
Bell came back.
And I remember watching them courtside because, you're waiting for your game coming up. And I was just so impressed by how well they were coached, how they ran their stuff, good athletes, and so forth. Michigan then makes the hire and brings them in and combines it with a huge financial commitment. And you see now a Michigan team that is, really well coached, because Dusty May is a really good coach. No getting around it. Lendenborg, and it's iffy as to whether he's playing tonight. I know there's some...
But when he has been playing.
Right. No, but I'm just pointing that out to fans tonight. I'm not sure if Lendenborg's playing tonight. It sounds like Burnett is playing tonight. But they get him to transfer in.
From UAB, I think.
And he's an NBA player. Can face up, can do all the things that the NBA really values, Lendenborg can do.
He was projected to go, I believe, 28th in the draft this past year, but opted for college one more year.
He's a lottery guy now, which is what he was hoping to do. He's got a point guard in Elliot Cadeau, who played so well at North Carolina. Is Cadeau a gigantic scorer? No. Interesting fact about Cadeau, he's never had a 20-point scoring game in his career. But he makes everybody else on the floor better because he's a pass-first, set-up guy, score second. They've got Morez Johnson. I thought he was terrific at Illinois.
He was incredible.
Right.
He was the big, bouncy...
Now he comes in here... He had 29 Friday night against USC, and he's a double-figure scoring guy. Mara, they have rim protection.
Brought him from UCLA.
So Penn State saw him last year out at Pauley Pavilion. He's got Roddy Gale off the bench. Now, he didn't bring Roddy Gale in. He was already there when he got there. I'm trying to think if he was or not. This is Dusty's second year, so maybe
he brought in Roddy.
He brought him in. Yeah, he did bring him in. No, it was a year ago. He was Gale started for them last year.
Right, but he did bring.
But
him
he's coming off the bench. He's recruited Trey McKinney, who's a really terrific player, and he inherited Will Cheddar. And L.J. Kason is also a part of this as well. They're a 9-man rotation, but they've been able, in today's world with money, they've been able to marry money to bring in talent to go with coaching, and thus they have an outstanding team. And it's a veteran team. It's an older team. Elliot Cadeau's gone through it already in the ACC. Johnson's gone through it in the Big Ten with Illinois. Mara's gone through it in the Big Ten with UCLA, and before that in the Pac-12.
Lendenborg's a grad student, so he's been around the block.
He's been around the block. I mean, it's just Lenborg is just really, really good, right? Burnett had transferred in. He inherited Burnett. But this is like, it's a veteran team, and he's done a great but you have to do a great job of now marrying. You can have great talent. You can also foul it up. The old line that people criticize the late Guy Lewis for when he was coaching in Houston, some days I just roll the ball out. Oh, well, that means he's not coaching. No, that means he's smart enough not to go out and screw it up. You can overcoach. Right? But your ability to marry players together, to get them to play together, that's outstanding. But boy, when you can do that with the talent part, right? And so I bring that up because the SEC just went 4-9 in bowl games. Now, they still have one team alive in Ole Miss. They will play on Friday night when they play at the Fiesta Bowl against Miami. And 4-9. Well, no offense, but let's talk about what about like people wouldn't talk about. I mean, people for years have been whispering were SEC schools maybe not financially playing, some boosters may not have been completely playing by the rules, and now everybody can pay. Suddenly it evens the playing field.
All of a sudden, you can have a Texas Tech who's able to pay players. You have players that are going to Oregon because Oregon can pay. Indiana can pay. Like it is now, everyone has the same general level of pay. There are some schools, of course, that may have extra, but it's not the difference is not drastic. Where players now, they come in and they get a certain amount of money already basically guaranteed to them, and like that kind of takes out the here's $200,000 because they're already getting that.
Now, Penn State, on the other hand, basketball-wise, look, they've gone the opposite route. You know, 3 freshmen have been playing. At one point against UNC Central on Monday, they had the 5 freshmen on the floor together. And in what has become an exponentially older sport, where everybody has now taken the Mike Bray. When he was at Notre Dame, he said, "Look," he says, "we have to stay older." Mike Bray talked about that all the time. Well, now, because he talked about that in the one and done era. Now we still have one and dones, but it's not as predominant. As
the one and
was.
dones are Cam Boozer, who comes in and is just a monster and is going to go to the draft immediately, or the AJ DeBansas. But generally, you have players like Ajaxa Lenborg, who is now a grad student who's going to go to the draft, but is older.
If they did not have the ability to get money on this level, Landborg would have been in the draft last year, and he probably would have been a first-round pick between 25 and 30. He would not have stayed, right? But because he can make some money this year, he's going to stay, right? Trinidad Chambliss just signed his deal with Ole Miss. Now, they don't know yet if he's getting the waiver, but Lacey, the running back, also has signed to stay on. So everybody's getting older. Basketball's, I think, the oldest it's ever been.
It feels it because you have teams that are rolling out there with 4 to 5 seniors. And there are, of course, a couple of exceptions. Penn State, for instance, is one of the youngest teams in the nation. But generally, you're rolling out there with 2 or 3 upperclassmen that are seasoned.
It's one of the 5 youngest teams in college basketball right now. That's just the way it is. Now, are people being critical? Well, of course they are, because they want to win. I understand that. I mean, what, you don't think I'm sitting there, I don't want to win? So I always get confused when people talk to me about things like this. What, you don't think I don't want to be tonight or getting ready for the Peach Bowl? Of course I do.
Yeah.
You don't think I don't want to do the NCAA tournament? What, are you kidding me? You may have been a fan a long time. I've been here longer than you have. Okay, I want all these things, but I also understand what the situation is. And Mike did talk the other day about coaching a young team against veterans, and somebody came up to me and they said, "This is making excuses." my first thought was, and I didn't say it to the person's face. My first thought was, don't be a jerk. Okay? Come on. Excuses. There's a difference between an excuse and a fact. It's a fact. They're young. Now, are they better than they were a month ago? Actually, they are. Actually, if I had to pick one game where I sat back and it really disappointed me, was the Pitt game. Because I think Pitt is decent but not great. I thought that was a 50-50 game. I mean, that game I went back, you've got to be kidding me. Indiana playing out there, okay, I got it. The Michigan State thing, they fought tooth and nail with them. Providence, they fought tooth and nail with them. And after falling behind 13-3 on Saturday,
they fought.
Right? They fought the rest of the way, but the game stayed between 8 and 14 the rest of the game. That 13-3 run to start the game turned out to be the working margin the rest of the game. And they just couldn't get past it. But they're playing better. But they're also playing some great teams right now. They're going to play a legitimately outstanding team tonight.
They're playing either the second or first best team in the nation tonight, depending on which poll you think is best.
I mean, even just watch the video. I mean, look, they're averaging like 97 points a game, but the defense is actually better than the offense. They have rim protection. I mean, it's,
They have played 13 games, Michigan. They have won all but 2 of their games by 18 or more points.
Right, but the 2 games.
That's insane.
But where were the 2 games? There were the 2 road games.
One was technically home.
They've hardly played away from the Chrysler Center.
Yeah. One was in Detroit against Wake Forest. The other was at TCU. So those are the 2 games that, as you mentioned, they didn't completely blow out an opponent.
So, I mean, we'll see. But you're going to see an excellent coach, a veteran, older team that they've done a great job in the portal of assembling. Kaysen and McKinney and Cheddar will be the 3 guys in the top 9 that actually began their careers at Michigan. I think I've got that right. Yes. And everybody else was brought in through the portal. I mean, even Burnett was brought in the portal before Dusty got there, so it's not, he came in with Jawan. But, I mean, that's what you have today. And you know who's being hurt by all this? The high school seniors being hurt by this. Because how many high school seniors are now not getting opportunities because so many people are going into the portal to stay older?
That was the thing. A lot of players, it would be you'd recruit and you'd kind of have the cycles going. And there, of course, would be some schools like Kentucky and Duke and UNC and a couple of schools that would have the one-and-done kind of cycles.
Not so much UNC. Duke and Kentucky in particular.
And there was a couple others around that would have a couple years of it, where it would be like a cycle of one-and-dones come in, they leave, the next batch comes in, they leave. But generally it was programs kind of recruiting and building and kind of you'd keep your same groups together, like even, let's say, a Purdue would, where you'd have Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Trey Kaufman-Wren, but then you'd also...
Well, see, now Purdue does that. See, they've all grown up together.
But that's my point, is most programs would be a Purdue, and then you'd have that 1 year where everyone's grown up and you have the right mix and it just clicks. But now you're at a point where a lot of teams are jumping, getting players from the portal, and all of a sudden you have 8 players coming in that weren't here the year prior, and then 2 kids coming in who are freshmen. It's not often you see a team built together and stay together now.
And that's going to be, for this Penn State program, I would be very excited to see a couple of years from now. Don Fisher from Indiana just texted me. He says, is Jerry still working there? I'll have to answer yes.
You'd be excited to see where Penn State could be
in 2 years.
In 2 years.
If they can retain the roster. Roster retention is going to be important.
Let's say Mason Blackwood, a player who has really impressed in recent games. He has gotten better and better.
Better every time out. Caden Mingo has been just terrific for them. Sometimes it gets lost a little bit. I think Urich has a chance to work his way into being a really good big man. He's going against guys that are, 3-4 years older than he is. Okay, all right, and so there are growing pains, and it also means that normally younger also means you have not been in the weight program. You look at the muscle definition of older players; it's different than
Kylan Boswell is built like a tank. Yeah. And he was going up against Caden Mingo, and you could just see the difference.
But Mingo's not bothered by that.
I feel like
Melly Tunja is bothered more by it than Caden is.
But the point of you can see the size difference of Boswell he's what, 22, 23?
He's 23.
But he's been here a while. He's almost as old as I am.
Well, I mean, exactly. He was at Arizona before he went to Illinois.
Yeah. He is at this point an adult. Right. And he's going up against someone who's 18 or 19 who doesn't have the same just.
Ivisic, who came off the bench, I'm talking about Z.
Vladislav. Or Zvona.
Okay. He was at Kentucky, for goodness sakes. Last I checked, Kentucky's pretty good at evaluating talent.
He was with Calipari. Calipari was like, I want him.
Guess what? You see him play. He's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Exceptional, older, stronger, long, and this is what you're fighting against right now. And people want to see progress. I get that completely, but everybody knew that in this stretch, Illinois, Michigan, at Purdue, this is a tough stretch where maybe you are getting better, but it might be difficult to see.
You're playing three teams in the top 20. You're playing Illinois, who was at that time, I think, 20th. Yeah. You're now playing Michigan, who's one of the two best teams in the nation. And you're playing Purdue, who's, oh, by the way, 5th in the nation. And then at some point, you're going to face Nebraska, who is 10th. You faced Michigan State, who's put up in the top 20.
Nebraska played in the Crown last year and won it. Yeah. Again, you've got that segment out there that dismisses competition. Oh, you don't want to play in a ball game. Yeah. It's a meaningless exhibition. The Crown's guess what the Crown's done? They went. They played the Crown. They won the Crown. They haven't lost a game, right? Because most of the guys came back, which at Nebraska normally it's been like a revolving door with Fred. No, they got a lot of guys back. Plus, Rink Mast is now playing again. They got Lawrence coming back.
By the way, at some point you're going to face Iowa, and Iowa brought in, of course, Ben McCullum came over, and along with him is Bennett Sturts, who's a senior, who is really good.
Right.
The Big Ten is really, really strong.
Right.
And this year is the year you're seeing it where it's just across the board, these teams are all really good, and that doesn't include a USC, who is really good, who has Chad Baker-Mazara, who's older than I am.
They'll be here on Super Bowl Sunday.
Exactly, but you have these teams, and even Indiana, who is an older team. We saw them earlier this season. They are old compared to Penn State.
They have one player back from last year as a walk-on, Stevens. He's the only player back. They changed over the entire team. But I do give coaches credit when they do something like that. A Darren DeVries comes in, and he changes over a team, but he gets them to play as a team. Right there's where it comes into play. But I know this is a tough stretch. I got it. But it's not like they don't have something. They do. And there are going to be some nights they're going to pick off a couple of people. Now, let's talk about the three-point part for a second. They took 38 of them the other night. I don't care. Right? If they are 38 good shots, now not all 38 are good shots, but I'm telling you right now, I thought 28 to 30 of them were good open shots. In the pregame, what was the number I gave in the pregame?
I believe you said 12.
12. I said 12. They needed to make 12. I didn't care how many they took, but I thought they needed to make 12. Well, guess what? They made 8. What happens if they make 12?
Yeah.
They actually win the game.
They do.
Right? But that's okay. That's why you have to do certain things at certain times.
Michigan State, let's say they made 12 instead of the 8 they made.
Right.
They win. They win comfortably.
Right. Now, is 12 a lot to ask for? Maybe, but you're coming up. But this is not something I came up with during the season. I said this in the summertime. On the show, I said in the summertime, they're going to have to hit a fair amount of threes to win games. It's just the way it is. So I don't care if they shot 38 of them. The key is when they don't get a paint touch or a lane touch. Okay, when you don't get a lane touch, their numbers are like okay. When they get one, the shooting percentage goes way up. When they get two, doesn't matter whether it's a 3-point shot or whatever it is, now the number goes way up. Because now what's happening is that that means the basketball's hot. It's moving. And what does a lane touch or a paint touch mean? It means now you've got yourself options when you do that if you're playing off 2 feet where, okay, somebody's open underneath, I've got him, or I kick it back out and you're wide open for what should be a comfortable 3-point shot and not contested.
When the ball is outside the 3-point line, if you're a defender, you can see it the entire time. But as soon as the ball goes in the lane, let's say I'm out on the left wing and Juric has it at the foul line. I can't see him. I don't know where he is. And all of a sudden, I have to stay close enough to my man where I give a little more space. And then let's say, oh my gosh, Eli Rice sees that and he cuts, and then he has an open lane to the basket. Or, okay, now I pull a defender further out because he's defending Eli Rice, and Caden Mingo sees the space and then gets the ball back from Juric or Sasha Ciani or whoever it is, drives, has an open lane to the basket. Like, it just makes more space inside, which then, of course, means when a defense collapse, who's open? Eli Rice, Dom Stewart, open 3. There you go.
Right. I mean, of all the times to have a really young team, this is the era of the older teams. All right? And this is where we are. And so when you hear Mike say, well, we're young, that's not an excuse. That's a fact.
Last year's team was the full 180 of it, where Ace Baldwin was a super senior. Nick Kern was older. Puff was older. Like, you had a lot of older players, and this is a full flip of that.
When they ran out Purdue, when they ran Purdue out, Dick and I both thought going into the season that a year ago, so let's go back 16 months, we both thought it was an NCAA tournament team. They ran Purdue out. It confirmed to us that they were on track to be that team. And then, I mean, Ace was hurt in the preseason, but then he got hurt in the Illinois game.
And
then some things.
And then Puff got hurt against Michigan State. And then
suddenly, because I want to go back to one of the truly great teams that was around and had the privilege of broadcasting, and that was the 2001 Penn State basketball team. Joe Crispin, John Crispin, Titus Ivory, Tyler Smith, Jazzy Klein-Hurd, Brandon Watkins, players like that. You want to know what that team? They made the Sweet 16. Beat second-ranked Michigan State in the Big Ten quarterfinals, beat Providence in the opening round, beat North Carolina in the second round. You want to know what that team had? The same starting lineup every game. It's amazing what that means when you can run the same group out every time. And that's what they had. That team had the same starting lineup in every game. Whether it was Kentucky at Rupp Arena when they won, or whether it was North Carolina in the NCAA tournament in March. That's November and March. It's the same starting lineup the entire time. And and that's what when you have that kind of season, those are all older players. That was an older team. Jazzy was a senior. Joe was a senior. Titus Ivory was a fifth-year senior on that team. Right? Tyler Smith was younger. John Crispin was a sophomore. But that's what you had. Right? The same starting lineup every game. And that means something when you've got the right group of guys together. And most of these teams that you see that are playing, that are making the NCAA tournament, they rarely have somebody out of the lineup because things have fallen into place for them. So, I know Mike got asked about his job yesterday. He's like, hey, look, I understand it. It's fine. It's okay to ask the question, but this is a different situation compared to the other situations in the conference. It's just what it is. Now, football-wise, the first non-Iowa State transfer in is a guy that I you could just see on the videos when I watched him when he was at UCLA. Keanu Williams, good player. I mean, that was, I thought, a big pickup for them in the transfer portal. That's a really big pickup for them. But when I look at what they've done, I've talked about my 50-player idea, which is like plus or minus a couple players, whatever. Okay. But I think in order to navigate a season, you have to be able to have those guys. Now, let's give an example. Indiana. Surratt is a really good player. No getting around it. But then he got hurt, and he couldn't play against Maryland. He didn't play against Maryland, Penn State, and I'm trying to think if they played afterward. But he couldn't play
Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. So he couldn't play those games. Well, Charlie Becker steps in. And Becker's making plays left and right to the point where now they can't get him out of the lineup. I mean, Surratt's playing.
Yeah, but Becker's now Becker's now part of their rotation.
Well, because he's actually better than E.J. Williams. Okay, I mean, E.J. Williams is a good player, but not a great player. He's a good player. They transferred him from Clemson when Tom Allen was there. Right? But that's what I'm talking about, that kind of player that like plays in the rotation, all of a sudden you need him to start, he starts, and he's really good. Right? K1 Black and Roman Hemby, to me, are both starters. To me, they're two of the 50 that they have. See what how I put it together? Something like that. I look at what Penn State, there have been 41 players in the transfer portal. Of the 41, 17 to me, in my mind, were in the 50.
17 are players that you thought could play.
I thought could be guys that could play and would be part of the 50. Okay. Of the guys they have coming back that have said they're going to stay, 28 to me are in that group.
So all of a sudden you need 22 to 25.
Well, they've made up for the 17 in a short period of time. What do they have? 14 now they've been able to get? 14, 15?
I believe they've added in 14 players so far.
Right. Yeah.
If not, they've added in more.
Now, one of them, of course, is they brought the two quarterbacks in, so I understand that.
Yeah.
So Rocco Becht is obviously the
Rocco
guy
Becht,
there.
Ben Brahmer, you've got Chase Sowell,
Bramer,
Chase Sowell, receiver, Caleb Bacon, linebacker, like Marcus Neal. Like you start going down, and you've got probably a dozen or so.
Right. So let's say a dozen. So now you're at 40, right? I think they're in a position now where they can find 10 more. Right, Williams is now the latest. Like they've gone outside again. You find 10 more, and I don't know what they have in the recruiting class. That part I don't know. As to what I'd have to rely on Tyler Donahue of 247. I'd have to rely on Ryan Snyder from On3.com and so forth. Greg Pickle, those guys. They know that exponentially better than I ever would.
Dozen, 20 players you've now brought in.
Right.
Let's say 2 to 3 of them impact next year.
But see, I feel like they're at 40 right now. I feel like they're at 40 or 41 right now that are among that 50 that I think are good enough at this level to play right away and make a difference in a season. And I know people will look at the 41. I don't look at the 41 that way, that left. I don't look at it that way.
You didn't lose 41, you lost 17.
Okay? To me, I feel like they lost 17. And I say that with all due respect to all. There's a lot of great young people in there. It has nothing to do with that. I'm just talking about from a playing point of view on this day, this hour, this upcoming season as to what I thought somebody was capable of and so forth. And I feel like there's 17 that could have been part of that 50, but they've replaced that in 36 hours. And they already had, I think, about 28 of them that already were there. So now, if they can get, a
dozen,
I mean, even 9 or 10 more, right? Now you have to get, more than that because you want to have.
That's why I said like a dozen. Right. Like a dozen is like the number you're looking at.
Now, roster-wise, you've got to have.
You have to be 60, 70.
You have to be 105 players. I mean, but that's how I look at the composition of the team. they're doing a good job of balancing out positions. Like in Williams, for example, you take advantage of prior relationships. Stanton Lim had been the defensive coordinator at UCLA before he took the USC job, right? So you're taking advantage of that right now. But that's how I look at how a football team is put together. To me, it's like who are your core 50 players? I thought they had the core 50 last year. I did, going into the season. It then became a reality to me that they probably had 38.
It was a thing for everybody.
It became a reality to me. So, you know what? I may have misjudged on a couple of guys. They probably have 38. And then, of course, guys get hurt.
Yeah, and then Tony Rojas got hurt, and it was like, oh, there's a way bigger hole on defense than people realize.
Right.
And then it snowballed from there last season.
So I'm just saying, when I'm talking about basic roster composition, that's how I look at it, and that's what I see. And I know people have talked about the Iowa State guys coming in. But, I mean, I probably watched Iowa State play 3 games this year. And, starting out with the opener in Dublin. And a lot of those guys I really liked anyway. But it goes back to what I talked about yesterday. It's not just them knowing the system. That's important. But it's also the fact that this coaching staff trusts them in the system. Right? Trust is a big part of that. So it goes back to the original story we're talking about, getting players. Well, they're getting players that they know can make plays for them. They're getting players that they trust to make plays for them in the fourth quarter. And they're keeping players that they're going to find out quickly they also can trust. Like I talked about the 28 guys that I looked at on the returning group. And now you're marrying the two because, there's a lot of things I see with the Penn State players that are being retained and decided to stay here. Okay? It's their decision to stay here. And and then you see the about 40 or 41 right now, maybe out of the 50 of guys that, in watching them as with amateur eyes, hey, I don't have Matt Campbell's eyes for things. When it comes to broadcasting, I could do that part of it. But my amateur eyes tell me I think they got 40 or 41 guys that can play in the fourth quarter of a game. And if they get 8 or 9 more, man, they're right where they need to be with all of this. And that's what makes this part. I'm trying to figure out what's more exciting for a certain segment of the fan base right now: the games, or this. The excitement of acquiring talent. Oh, what about this guy, that guy? Oh, they lost this guy. Oh, it stinks. They didn't get that guy. Right?
Well, it's the free agency craze. It's like everyone wants the free agency, the trade deadline. That's what they're all waiting for in the pros. I know. Because I want to see what happens, who goes where.
I'm trying to think what's more exciting sometimes for some fans. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm openly asking the question. What's more exciting to some fans out there? Is it the comings and goings of the talent, or is it the games?
I do want to ask you about.
And I think it's a fun question to find out as to what people think, because I think for some people it's actually this part here where the roster composition, what they're going to do, what this guy can do, and so forth. The games will take care of themselves.
Speaking of roster composition and of a trade variety, in the NBA, it has been brought up of the Hawks are looking to now trade Trae Young, and he is helping with them, and they're trying to find a way to trade him. Might be to the Wizards, which is just a thing. But I want to ask you, because Trae Young is a very specific player, where he is I guess the word I would use is a maverick on offense, where he does take a lot of shots. He passes the ball a lot and is near the top of the NBA in the assist level. But the problem is in the defensive side of things, he's a 6-foot guard who cannot defend. And that's just tough. It's tough. And I wanted to ask about, a lot of players like a Yaxel Lenberg are incredible. You mentioned he's a shot maker, can defend really well, is 6'9", big, rangy wing. It feels like ebbs and flows in sports when it comes to the styles you see kind of build into everything. So in the NBA today, it is a lot of those big rangy wings who can do everything. The big man who can knock down threes. Like, that's what it's becoming now, where Yannick Niederhauser is playing for the Clippers because he's 7 foot and he can shoot the three decently, and he can also defend the rim really well.
And he's long.
And athletic and bouncy.
And can run the floor.
So you're seeing this change over to that versus where Trae Young probably would have been considered one of the top players in the league even 15 years ago, 10 years ago, because three-point shooter, guard, small, quick, all these things, but he's not because he's just not good enough on the defensive end and all these things. Like, how do these trends, I guess, develop in leagues? And, like, does it extend beyond it? Because, of course, Trae had an okay career at Oklahoma. He led them to the tournament, and they were okay.
Played 1 year.
But they were okay that year. They made the tournament. Yeah. But, like, how do these trends develop? Because you see players like Trae Young.
Okay. Trae Young at Oklahoma. Trae Young at Oklahoma got them off to a great start. He hit big shots and deep shots. He was a college version in terms of shooting ability of, like, when Steph Curry was at Davidson. And then as the season went, because we all know he's slow to build, he got tired. And Oklahoma did not finish well that year. They got into the tournament, but they got into the tournament because of what they did in November, December, January, and the first part of February. From the first part of February to the end of the season, they didn't play well.
I think they beat, was it URI in the tournament? And then they lost in the round of 32 or 16?
Right. But he was tired. And that's, again, when you're slow to build. He has tremendous range. And when he gets going, he's fun to watch. His problem is that over an 82-game schedule, he's so ball-centric. You can talk about him assists, but he takes way more shots than he gets assists. He's so ball-centric. And I think there are some nights where he'll take enough shots where he'll get points, but his points per shot, 1.5 is the level in the NBA. If you're making that, you've got a long-term contract, and you have, oceanfront property somewhere in the world. If you're at 1.5 points a shot, he's not there. And defensively, he gives up so much defensively, you don't know whether he's worth it. I don't know what the Wizards are a terrible team. What do they have that people want? I mean, that's what gets me is what do they have that the Hawks would want?
I guess young players, but like,
I don't see it. I mean,
I don't know.
I think Kristaps Porzingis just got back into the Atlanta lineup. He's been in and out.
He's been in and out with his illness.
He's such a when he plays, he's such a good player. But he, between injuries, illness, things like that. I mean, when he played for the Celtics, they were almost unbeatable when he played. With that group, and they won an NBA title with him. But goodness gracious, but Trae Young, his issues. He's been voted the most selfish player in the league. Now, that's not every year. That was 1 year that came up, okay? It's 1 year that came up. And okay. And now they're talking about cutting ties with him. So let me see what his numbers are. Like, I want to see what his shots are. Here we go, Basketball Reference.
Right now, he is averaging 28 minutes a game, 19 points.
He's 19 points a game, yeah.
And if I can pull up his
nine assists per game, by the way, too. I mean, that's again, let's give credit where credit's due. But
he's averaging currently, she's shooting 30% from three, which is just not good enough. If you are taking the amount of shots,
which by the way, he's a better shooter than that.
His career is 35%. He's probably closer to 36.
He's also listed as out for tonight's game with Toronto.
He is. He's out right now. But he's 6'2", 164. And,
for example, let's see here. I want to see the raw numbers because they've got the percentages here. What are the raw numbers in terms of the shots he's taken? See, it's the number of shots he takes.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you're, let's see, these may be the raw numbers here.
So I think it's 5.6.
So he took 1 point. He took. Let's just take this year. I mean, he's averaged. I mean, over the years, he's averaged about 1,300 shots a year.
Yeah.
Okay, and so total points. Like he has 193 points this year and 135 shots. I mean, that's not bad.
No.
I mean, that's. I mean,
it's okay.
I mean, he's averaging 13 and a half shots a game because he's played 10 games, but he's only shooting 42%. His career, he's 35% from three, but he takes so many shots. I mean, like he took 1,376 shots last year.
And also, as we mentioned, part of the problem is his defense, where, let's say he even gets up to that 1.5 points per shot level. Defensively, he gives that up. And that's where a player like a Trae Young, it's an issue.
He averaged 1.3 points a shot last year.
But how much is he giving up on defense is the other part of it.
Yeah,
Steph Curry it has not been talked about enough that he has changed his game to be able to not be a negative on defense. Where at the start of his career, he's a smaller guard, weaker, but he's made it so he's not a negative.
He's not a liability.
He's not a liability. And that is big when you have someone like, part of the reason the Mavs wanted to trade Luka and Nico Harrison wanted to do it was because he said he's a negative on defense.
Which showed up, by the way, in the playoffs last year.
And if Luka can get himself to be a net neutral on defense, all of a sudden, it means that when you get beat on the defensive side of things, let's say you get beat 10 times a game if you're Trae Young, but if that number gets down to 5 a game, all of a sudden it means the defense doesn't have to rotate in a different way and crash and change. It means you can have more structured defense.
I will look at it's interesting. I'll look at plus minus when hockey's being played. I mean, I'll look at plus minus on hockey. In basketball, we do get plus minus numbers, whether it's the NBA box or it's a college box. And I don't put as much stock in it unless I see something dramatic. If I see a group of guys, you lose the game. Okay, you lose the game. And I see a bunch of guys like -8, -10, -12, and I see a guy that's -22. That I do notice. Or you win the game, +8, +10, +6, +24. Okay, I will notice that. Like, in other words, the game, when you were in the game, things were going pretty well. Right? So when it's dramatic like that, I'll look at it. And it makes a point to me. But I don't usually put a lot of stock in plus minus. I mean, for example, Trae Young, say he's out there, he plays 44 minutes, and they lose the game by 8, and he's -8. Well, you lost the game by 8, and because you were out there the entire time, they lost by 8, so you are going to be a -8. But if I look out there and they lose the game by 8, and he plays 38 minutes, and he's -15 when he's out there, then it becomes an issue. And that's been one of the issues with him. His plus-minus numbers have not been great, in part because he gives up so much. I don't know whether I mean, he's older now, so he should be stronger. But it just seems like for him, you can move him off the spot. Do I think there are moments he's trying to play defense? Of course I do. But but sometimes you're just not good at it.
And also in the NBA, as we've talked about with college, especially like in the NBA, they're going to scheme to just do the best thing on offense, which let's say you've got Jason Tatum or let's say you have Luka, you're going to scheme it so you get a switch and then all of a sudden Trae Young is on Luka, and that's not a matchup you want. Or Trae Young all of a sudden has to deal with Kawhi Leonard or someone else, and then all of a sudden your defense has to make up for that. And if they're in the NBA, that player is probably smart enough to see what's going to happen and say, oh, well, now this player over here is going to come over, Jalen Johnson, to try and help double, and I'm going to pass to the guy that he was defending, and all of a sudden there's a wide open three-pointer for a guy who shoots 38% from three. Like, that's what the NBA is. It is matchup-based. It is, how can I take your worst thing and make it our best thing every single night. And that's what teams do.
Well, but I talk about this all the time in every sport. It's all about matchups, right? On the mound versus your hitter. What's the matchup, right? In football, why is it team A can beat B, B beats C, so everyone assumes that A will beat C, and it turns out C beats A. Why? Because there's a couple matchups in there for whatever reason they're better at. Like your right tackle, who is not threatened at all when they play B, is threatened when they play C. Right? Because it's, matchups mean so much in sports. I mean, every sport. I don't care whether it's soccer. I don't care whether it's football, baseball, hockey. I mean, why do you think it's important to have the last change at home in hockey? And in basketball, 5-on-5 out there, if they see a matchup there, they will exploit. I don't care if it's the college level or the pro level. Pro level does an exponentially better job.
They're more efficient about it.
Right? But they do a better job of it, of identifying matchups and the matchup they want to go to. They may only have 24 seconds to do it. They may only have 16 seconds in the half court to do it, right? Or when it goes out of bounds, it's 15. But you have to get the ball over in 8. That's why I said 16. And but there's the matchup, and they just keep doing it and doing it until they make you change. College basketball doesn't do that as often. And that's always confused me as to why. Because you look at the tape, and this is what we refer to as, he's a Waldo. Well,
Where is he?
Waldo is not what you want to be known as.
No.
Right? Where's Waldo? There he is. We're coming for you. Right? You better get ready. Right? Now, it doesn't mean that the players are aware of who that person is, but like in college, there's less like emphasis on like he can't defend me, so we're gonna go, as opposed to the NBA where they just exploit it over and over again. You can't defend him. You can't do this. That's it, and they do make a big deal of it. Who's Dylan Brooks?
Dylan Brooks,
right, with LeBron.
Yeah, but it's the point of
I
like,
could take you.
If you're facing Dylan Brooks, you're going to purposely try to not go at him. But if you're facing Trae Young, you're going to try and do that. Right. Or, as many people have talked about, let's say you're facing the Knicks in the playoffs, and you have a really good point guard. What are you going to do? I'm going to put a pick and roll where I have Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns in that pick and roll. Because spoiler, neither of them are great defensively. And I can exploit that every single time. And you are going to run a pick and roll with, let's say you were the Pacers last year, Miles Turner and Tyrese Halliburton every single time down the court, pick and roll, and you're going to get different looks constantly because they're going to keep changing things, but the exact same premise is there. There's only so many times you see different things happen where a team doesn't do that. One of them is the Nuggets, because Nikola Jokic is so good, it doesn't matter. And he gets the ball in the spot he wants to, and then he just does what he wants from there. There's very few times it happens. But, for instance, the Warriors, when they were on their run, what did they do? It was the same few pin downs where Steph Curry and Klay Thompson would run around a screen, and Draymond would screen for someone on a second one, and all of a sudden they're open. It was the same actions, but it's just they're not stopping them because they're too good at it. And if you don't have the players to defend something, you're screwed. And the NBA exploits that. And the NFL exploits it. Where, like, you're going to throw at the worst corner. Right. Eli Apple was getting thrown at every single time.
They do that all the time.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, why last year, Penn State played Ohio State here. And Igbinosun made the great play in the end zone against Trey Wallace. It's just a great play.
It was an incredible play.
They went at him repeatedly last year. Why are they doing it? Because guess who led the nation in pass interferences last year? He did. That's why they were going at him over and over again, because he led the nation in pass interference and holding penalties. Right? That was going into the game and all the total body of work for the year. Right? And so
when Joey Porter Jr. was here.
And it turned out this year, Igbinosun cut that down to only 3 for the season.
When Joey Porter Jr. was here, people weren't, I don't remember because I wasn't involved with watching. I assume they weren't throwing at his side of the field a lot. Is that fair?
No, they were not.
And so that's what teams do. They scheme it up to also throw away from people. Sure. Because when Darrelle Reeves was in the NFL, notoriously he had one season where he had no interceptions and everyone said he's not good enough. And it was like, they threw the ball 20 total times at me throughout the entire season. 20. It's once a game they threw my way.
Right.
How do I pick off one pass a game?
Right. Well, that's why I would talk about guys like, well, he only has one interception.
Why did Travion Diggs have 7 or 9 interceptions in a season?
Because they kept throwing at him.
Yeah.
And I made the point about Bland. Remember Bland had all the
Bland
interceptions?
had like 8.
Right? And it's like, he's great as first. I said, no offense, I don't think he's very good. And people looked at me like I was like out of my mind. I said, don't you understand why he's getting chances at interceptions? Oh, he's really great at it. No, because they're throwing at him over and over again because he's perceived as a weakness. And guess what? Over the course of his career, guess what he is?
A weakness.
He's a weakness. I mean,
if you have the option of throwing at me,
we try to tell people these things. They look at it like, oh, no, I've got numbers here. He's got 8 picks. I'm like going, he's got 8 picks because they keep throwing at him. Why? Because he's actually, most of the time, he's not getting the job done.
When you would watch teams face the Rams, they would purposefully run outside and not in the middle towards Aaron Donald. Why?
Not.
Because he's too good.
He's too good.
And when people are facing this year, as we saw with the Steelers, Myles Garrett, what do? You put a second guy there and you go away from him. Wow. Why? Because he's the best player on the field, and you don't want to challenge the best player on the field because that's never going to go well.
And you're using a running back or a tight end to chip, which then takes that person essentially out of the passing game unless they're a check down. I mean,
that's why when a team has 2 defensive ends, let's say you're the Texans, you have Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, who are both really, really good. It's tougher to face them because they have both of them coming at you.
1 year ago, it was Carter and Denai Dennis. Okay.
And you can't really scheme up to face both of them because you have to take on the Abdul Carter thing. And then Denai Dennis Sutton was racking up sacks because he didn't have to face 2 guys. And he could, but he didn't have to as often because Abdul Carter was, again, the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft for a reason.
I had to text Jack during the show because they did get a commitment from a defensive end from Colorado. And so I told Jack, I texted him, I said, by the way, he did block a punt last season, but don't worry, it doesn't count in the Penn State record book.
They got one from true freshman edge, Alexander McPherson.
Well, you can say it. I can't until he signs.
He is. This is per Hayes Fawcett and On3 Sports. The 6'5", 250 edge appeared in 10 games this season with 16 tackles, 6 QB hurries, 1 blocked punt, and half a sack. And this is coming on in. And per Penn State, they also got Vea Ikakula. He comes in from Iowa State. He was an offensive lineman. There is now 22 transfers for Penn State, 20 of them from Iowa State so far. So Penn State is now up to 22 players in the portal. They've lost, we said, 41 maybe, something like that. So they're already, just sheer number-wise, almost there.
Yeah, but it's not the 41.
It's the 17.
It's the 17. Have they made up for the 17 in a few days? Yes.
The question. Yeah.
And I think they have, based on what I've watched. Just based on what I've watched. Right? I'm seeing them in person. You'll get a better feel for it. There's nothing like seeing it with your own eyes. Numbers tell you one thing. Your eyes either confirm what the numbers are telling you, or you may look at it and go, it doesn't quite. Sometimes it's like better. You see little things that they do, maybe little things they don't do. Right? But the eyes will tell an interesting story. The numbers are telling good stories so far.
They will. And thank you for tuning in to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, presented by Happy Valley Live and the Student Bookstore.
Oh, yeah. I can't say enough about these guys. I mean, the fact that they were able to jump on board and do this. I mean, Pat Romano, what the heck? Nice little meal before the game tonight. Very good.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape, from college football to European